Just finished WandaVision episode 8, and I am heartbroken. Not just because so many of my predictions and so many other people's predictions just did not pan out. Just heartbroken over Wanda and her story. Wow, it really tugged at me. But that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to tell you how it made me feel to learn her backstory, unless it's incorporated into a greater theory. So, okay, I got a whole page full of notes. Let's go through them and talk about this. Okay, so one thing I was right about, and I'm not the only one, I'm not laying that claim, but one thing I was right about was that it opened up with a flashback with us learning more about Agatha. Although more or less the entire episode was a series of flashbacks, but this one was highly important because not only does it show that she was attempted to be put to death by her own kind and her own mother for learning above her station and learning dark arts, but we hear that she's very adamant about being good. Now this goes back to what I said before. In the comic books, in the 616 anyway, Agatha is, in D&D terms, I guess I would say neutral good. And I kind of feel this is pulling towards that. But I did have some questions about that opening scene. Did something save Agatha? Was she touched by something? Because it seems like if she had all of that power right then and there, things could have and should have transpired differently. It almost seems like something peaked when they were attempting to end her. So I'm not sure how much of that was her power and how much of that was something coming through her. But her magic and the other witches were very reminiscent to the color style that we've seen in the Dark Dimension with Doctor Strange. So it makes me wonder where the connection of witchcraft magic is, since on Earth, sorcerer magic has its own different, like orangey, yellow, fiery kind of color. And Dormammu's was purplish. Where is it all coming from? Did something from another side save Agatha? It was a question I had when I saw that. She wants to know what's going on. But the ultimate question is, why does she want to know what's going on? She didn't say that she came upon this and thought, oh my God, what is this witch doing? I've got to stop her. No, she stopped at Westview when she detected what Wanda was doing because she wanted to know how Wanda is doing it. So far, there's been nothing about any altruistic motives other than curiosity. Okay, now in the basement scene, I think there was a very important shotgun that has been given to the viewers, as they say in writing. Don't introduce a shotgun in scene 1 if you're not going to use it in scene 2. And in this case, I'm talking about the fact that Agatha pointed out that only the person who lays the runes, the wards of protection that she had around her basement, only the one that lays them down can cast spells in that area. So I think that's going to come back against Agatha. I think that was a very important line. Now, also in this opening scene, the conversation between Agatha and Wanda, it's pretty much straightforward brought up by Agatha that this is not Pietro, it's Pietro. Fake Pietro, she called him, because the real body was in another continent and all shot up. So she pulled this one in. And it's only been eyes and ears for her. She is not him. She is not controlling him. She did not create him other than using him for eyes and ears. So that leaves the door open to not only mine, but other people have been theorizing this for a while, that this is the real Pietro that we know from the Fox franchise of X-Men movies. So I'm still maintaining that, and there's been no evidence yet to say that he's otherwise. Now, there's been theories out there that he is Nightmare, which I don't buy. But I guess if if Nightmare is behind all this, Nightmare could have very easily just chosen this form and been acting out just to play games or something. But I don't see that at all, which is why I've been discounting that entire theory this entire time. Something else about Quicksilver I noticed is In the later scene where Wanda is initially driving through Westview for the very first time, you see several of the character actors, let's call them, from the WandaVision show. Like Herb and Norm we get to see, Mrs. Hart we see. Granted, we don't see all of them, but one notable one that we do not see is Pietro. We don't see Peter Maximoff walking around anywhere, so leading more credence to the fact that he literally was pulled. Now, how could he have been pulled? Well, Scarlet Witch is basically being set up as a nexus point, or a creature that can manipulate nexi. So that is what's going on here in the Wanda field, in the hex field that's been created. So because this is a nexus, that could be what made it possible for Agatha to just pull someone who is her brother. So there'll be maybe some sort of subconscious or spiritual recognition, although this person really isn't her brother. Multiple universes, parallel brothers, families kind of thing going on. I think that's why this is the Fox, the real Pietro, that was pulled in, and how Agatha was able to pull him in. I don't think it's normally within her power to just yank people out of other dimensions. I think it's because Wanda is a Nexus creature or a Nexus manipulator that Agatha was able to accomplish this. Now, the whole fact that the Agatha Harkness of 1610 is a psychiatrist is kind of coming through a little bit here. I'm not saying that there's more to this Agatha, this WandaVision Agatha, any more than that, but she is definitely acting like a psychiatrist. The way she's trying to get to the root of Wanda's problems and abilities all at the same time, which makes me wonder if that's what she does in the modern real world. Very curious, but just raises more and more questions still about Agatha. Is she really the villain? Or did she create all this, like she said, as a way to subtly and easily get to the truth without further damaging Wanda? Very interesting point. But like I had said before, neutral good in the original comic line. This kind of fits, I think, her, again, in a Dungeons and Dragons sense, this kind of fits her alignment type as the best way I could say it. So when Agatha becomes this sort of ghost of Christmas past in the episode, I found very interesting. Going into Wanda's literal past and studying it piece by piece, what happened. Well, first of all, you have never once heard me say that I believed that the people in the commercial were her parents, like so many other people were predicting. And the reason for that is because I didn't. Now, we still don't know who they are, how their representation came to be, physically speaking, why those forms, if they're based on anyone, we don't know. But now we do know that they were not her parents, because we got to see the parents in the back shot, the flashback, I mean. And we also got to see what has been very popularly theorized, which turns out to be true, that the sitcom situation is due to her childhood love of sitcoms and growing up with them, and them always being there to help her out. Like at one point, they even say that no matter how bad things get, the problems are always solved, or it turned out to just be a dream or a nightmare. The word nightmare was brought up again in this episode, and I think it's yet more hinting towards what we're going to find out next episode. This flashback to this particular point also is very important because it shows that Wanda was always a witch, that she always had the Marvel version of witchcraft in her, that it was always there. And that's shown by the fact that the only reason that Stark bomb didn't go off is because unknowingly she used her hex probability to make sure it didn't. And if she didn't have that inborn, innate, mutant ability, that they would have been dead. And I think this is also important about how mutants are going to be brought into the MCU now. I think that may be a huge hint that, depending on a particular perspective, in this case the perspective of a witch, that mutant powers are witchcraft. She was describing to Wanda that the different types of magic, again to make a D&D reference, almost like the different schools that a magic user can learn to study. So that, in a sense, that different superpowers, as we recognize them today, would be a form of transmutation or clairsent abilities or evocation that would fall under a very specific use of this one magical ability. I think that might be what they're actually getting at. Now, during the flashback to Hydra scene where she's with the Infinity Stone, I'm not sure exactly how to take that. I'm not sure if that all really physically happened, because if it did physically happen, that the stone exploded out of the staff, that came to her, it sort of enveloped her in energy. If that all physically happened, because if it did, then how did the stone ever get back in the scepter? That doesn't make sense. It seems more likely to me that it was all a mental image. That when the scientists looked at the film footage, they saw her coming in, and then she just dropped to the floor, almost like something was edited. So I think it happened all in her mind, but it's very important, I think, that she had this vision of herself, of the Scarlet Witch, coming to her in that smoky red glowing mist light as a way of foretelling her future. Very, very interesting. There's a scene after that with them in Avengers Mansion, looking back at this time shortly after Age of Ultron. And it is really touching, and I gotta say that scene kind of broke me a little bit. The emotional tension to a crescendo was very powerful, and I'm still not sure if Agatha. It seemed like it was crocodile tears to me, or that's what it seems to me. Maybe it wasn't, but it definitely really hit me. It was a very good scene, powerful scene, and it hinted at the connection between Wanda and Vision, showing that Vision is just learning about emotions, and his very basic, and I don't mean that in a lowbrow way, in an innocent way necessarily, but his very easy take on what emotions mean and why they affect us was just really beautiful, to the point where we see that is the connection. That is the point where Wanda realized that there is something very special about this individual, and that she isn't alone. So it was a really powerful scene, and I'm glad that it was the connection there, because it gives more meaning to why this all happened, why she cracked, and why he is such a fixed point for her in that crack. Now, as far as Hayward goes, what the hell is his deal? Okay, so when he showed the footage to the Sword agents and Wu and Monica, well, she's a Sword agent, and Darcy, he was very intent on the fact that Wanda just broke in and stole the body. That is not what happened. Someone's pants are on fire. Okay, so she wanted closure, and this makes a whole lot of sense. Vision was a real person. He was a sentient being. And although he's not human and therefore doesn't have any human rights, so his living will is like toilet paper, she needed this because he is real, was real. But Hayward seemed to be pushing buttons. Everything he did is this control and leverage and button pushing maneuvers. Everything from making her wait, which was a huge test, let me say, because Wanda was so considerate and patient at Sword, and and he made her wait. And that's a power position play that bosses and managers and people in positions above you do on purpose to establish they are in control. In other words, it's a dick move. And that's what Hayward did. And then he continued pushing her buttons. Showing her the body like that is a huge button pushing thing. But to constantly and then kind of, oh, let me correct myself, sarcastically in a way. He kept making references that Vision wasn't human, making references to Vision being nothing but a thing, and that he is in possession of Vision because he has the legal right to be, because Vision's not a human. And she can't have him. He snapped her on purpose. No, I don't mean Thanos snap. He pushed her buttons on purpose. He wanted a reaction. Now, was that the reaction that he got? Was that the one he wanted? I don't believe necessarily it was. He wanted her to bring it back to life. He got me doing it. He wanted Wanda to bring Vision, to bring him back to life. When she breaks the glass and goes down there, it's all revolving around a scene about him speculating that she's just going to use her powers to bring Vision back to life, which is not what she does. She simply feels for him, as was established in Infinity War. See if she can sense him, and she doesn't. She doesn't. And upon realizing that he's not there, she just leaves. Just gets up and walks out. I don't think that's what Hayward wanted. Hayward wanted her to activate him. And he got pissed that she didn't. But I also want to know is, apparently Darcy discovered that Hayward was tracking Vision inside the field. How? Why? What am I missing here? What am I missing? Because if there was a program, if there was a sword program running that was trying to follow the Vision around, something's not making a connection. And it's not just the vibranium, which is an amazing fact that, on top of everything else, you just created all this vibranium. No, because he knew he had Vision's body. Is this simply because he was afraid that she made a new Vision? Is that what this comes down to? That's popping in my head right now. Maybe it was the fact that they detected the vibranium from this area and realized that there was a second Vision, a new Vision that was like the old Vision walking around. That could possibly be it. But to make this continuous lie that basically Wanda stole Vision's body, and that's why they're doing this to recover it, he's still hiding something. So I'm still saying that he's AIM, because since it looks like Agatha is not the Hydra creature, then I'm back to my original thought. It has nothing to do with Hydra. He could very well be AIM. A lot of people are talking about Skrull. I'm not buying that. I could see and understand why they may want to start initiating that plan in the MCU. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel right to me at the moment. So I'm not sure what Hayward's deal was during that flashback. But he's a tool. He was up to something. Now, I also have questions about the deed that was sitting open letter in Wanda's car. Because there's something about the way the scene played out that made me think that was something new to her, that she hadn't seen that before. Almost like someone left it there for her. Like, oh, this was found on his body. We had opened it up here at Sword to see what it was. And it wasn't of anything of use or importance to us. That's the kind of feeling I'm getting, is that someone there at Sword left it for her in the car. Because it didn't feel like it was expected. I guess is the best way I could put it. It gave the emotion to me that she hadn't seen that before. This was all new to her, which means somebody put it there. Someone initiated this. We still have a villain running around. It's not necessarily Agatha, and it's not this poor, cracked, delusional Wanda. There's something else going on. As I mentioned, we progress to the scene where she goes to Westview to look at where this deed leads to and what's there. That Vision has left her, or apparently he's left her, with a little V as a signature in the heart, where we can grow old. We still don't know if Vision actually left that. Remember that. Just because it has a V. But yeah, so as she got to Westview, we can see that the town is all but decimated. Maybe still from the snap, but the blip bringing people back didn't seem to help yet. But it only just happened. The blip only just was weeks ago. But yeah, the town looks defeated, is the best way to put it. We see a bunch of them, like I said earlier, we see a bunch of the character actors walking by, sitting down. Nobody is happy. Nobody here is. But the deed leads Wanda to this empty lot. And again, I'm still thinking to myself, this doesn't feel like it's right. This still feels planted. And she's so sad and broken, cracked, she didn't even question it. But the lot is empty, and there's nothing built there. There's no house or anything. And everything, the way everything crashes down finally on Wanda, wow. Now, I'm thinking about this energy that she let out as she collapses, and the chaos energy comes flying out. Though it's still red, crimson, or should I say scarlet, there's a lot of darkness in it. There's a lot of dark core to it, and aura to it around its edges. This isn't her. This, not completely, not really. I'm still maintaining a Cthon, like Cthulhu, Cthon kind of connection. Nightmare Shumgarath, but this is not necessarily all just her magic. Now, Mephisto his color scheme is red and black, but again, I think we've all pretty much dismissed that idea. So this scene had something even more powerful in it, though. Did you notice that when after she finished the house and the power is still coming out of her, and it was creating vision, it was the Mind Stone color and energy. Did she literally recreate the stone? Was there maybe a seed of its power in her? And that is why she was able to use her creation ability to make it again? Now, there's something else that has to be pointed out, is the last episode made a big visual deal about everyone sees that book, that dark book, whether it's the Darkhold or not, this dark book with the red, as we now know to call it, chaos magic energy, the dark red scarlet chaos magic emanating, steaming off of it almost, if you will. And this episode, nothing of it at all. That means something big is going to happen with that book. It has to. You're not going to make such a big deal about it and then nothing. That's a waste of time. It's just an insult to the audience, I think. That book is going to lead to the ultimate villain. It is. And it's going to lead to some tension between Agatha and this villain. Now, I'm not going to get into my theories for episode 9 yet. I'm actually waiting to hear back from Tommy V. We may be doing a dual one together. But that book is going to play a big, huge part. Now, obviously, the last thing I got to say is the mid-credit scene. Now, other than the last several of my thumbnails have included an image of White Vision from the John Byrne run of the storyline in the West Coast Avengers, I didn't actually think it was going to happen, which is why I've never bothered talking about it. I just put the picture up because I thought it was a cute idea to maybe lay a seed in some people's minds that may want to think about it, but I didn't think it was worth talking about other than that. But they did it. They went that route. So it is not going to be this massive attack. They're sending in the White Vision or the Anti-Vision into the field. Now, that looked like a Stark reactor. It looked like a miniaturized Stark reactor in his forehead, which makes sense given how technology is depicted in, or advanced technology is depicted in the MCU. Now, the White Vision has no emotions. None at all. Now, I still maintain, like I told you guys before, Ultron has left a piece of him to be recreated in everything he's ever made. So did they inadvertently actually create Ultron? I'm not saying they did. I think it's an interesting question. But I will make this one theory. I will make this one theory about episode 9 right now because it ties in so directly with this mid-credit scene is, yes, obviously there's going to be a battle between Hex Vision and Anti-Vision. I think by the end of it, they're going to gestalt. They're going to meld. They're going to join, become one. And that is how Vision is going to come back to the MCU. Well, I do have a last question, though. So if Agatha discovered this, if she's telling the truth, she discovered this because she sensed it happen. She sensed the chaos magic. Where the hell is Doctor Strange? He's got to be in the next episode. The Disney dropped the teaser promo for episode 9, and again, they added the clip of Doctor Strange. So it's got to be coming. It doesn't make sense that he wouldn't have detected any of this. So that's what I thought about episode 8. Those are my questions I had about it. Those are some of the whys that I think things are going on. And I'm hoping me and Tommy V are going to get together and be able to do another one of these. It's always great when we bounce the ideas off of each other. So thank you for watching. I'm your buddy Big John at G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Marvel. Just trying that out.